We are just 3 days away from the NBA trade deadline, and we've already seen teams make some insane trades. De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs, Zach LaVine to the Kings, but probably the biggest trade I've ever seen in my lifetime, Luka to the Lakers. Not only did that trade change the NBA landscape as we know it, it also created a massive obstacle for the Knicks and their trade plans at the deadline. We're going to break down all of these latest reports today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and make sure you have notifications turned on. So that way, anytime we drop new content, you get notified. And now, let's get started. Luka trade creating major obstacle for New York and their trade plans. This has been the craziest trade deadline I've ever seen in NBA history. One bombshell after another. Keep in mind, the Jimmy Butler situation has still not been resolved. That trade still needs to happen. And with all of these things going on, can you believe the Knicks have still not made one move yet? But with 3 days remaining until the trade deadline, New York will be working the phones looking to see what deals that they can make. However, their trade plans have just hit a massive obstacle, and that's due to the blockbuster move that the Lakers just pulled off to add Luka to their team. Let's break down these latest reports so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Shout out to Ian Bagley for giving us the following information on how the blockbuster Luka/AD trade could have ramifications on the Knicks trade plans. According to Bagley, in the media room at the Garden late Saturday night, when this thing was first reported by Shams, the Lakers media was stunned, wondering if it was real or not, just like the rest of us. Obviously, a few minutes later, it was confirmed to be real. When this trade first went down, I wasn't even awake. I was sleeping. That's because we just lost to the Lakers and we just lost OG Anunoby. I was fuming. I was angry. I was upset. So the only thing I can do in that moment was go to sleep. And that's exactly what I did. I had no idea that the NBA landscape, as I knew it, would change when I woke up. But that's exactly what happened. But the trade package to get Luka on the Lakers, 1 pick and AD, that's basically all they gave up to get Luka on that team. I guess they also gave up that kid, that rookie, Max Christie as well too. But you're telling me that the Lakers were able to keep Austin Reeves, was able to keep all of their key players, basically all of their key picks, only lose 1 pick, an aging AD, and that's all they needed to give up to get Luka on their team? Not only was this the biggest trade I've ever seen in my lifetime, it probably ranks up there as one of the worst trades I've ever seen in my lifetime. Again, by the Mavs. They lost Steve Nash, they lost Jalen Brunson, and now they lost Luka. Looking back in their history, every single one of those players that they lost, you can say it was a major disappointment for the Mavs. And this Luka situation is the biggest among all of them. I could not believe that this trade was real. But let's continue here and see what Bagley has to say on the ramifications this trade has on the Knicks and their trade plans. Bagley continues here by stating, I think this could have Knick implications here because if the Knicks decide to pivot from Mitchell Robinson and decide they have to go out and trade for a backup center, that market is also going to be pursued by the Los Angeles Lakers, who now need a center. You're talking about the Knicks. If they go after Jonas Valanciunas, let's say, Los Angeles will be right there. So they're another team to compete with in the center market if the Knicks do go ahead and decide to move on from Mitchell Robinson and look to find a backup center via trade. Clearly, the Lakers are in championship contention. They have pushed all their chips on the table. So it's no surprise to me that after losing Anthony Davis, they're looking for another center. Jonas Valanciunas is not going to be the defensive stopper that AD was, but they don't really need that right now. What they need is a big body inside. And if you're Jonas Valanciunas, you want to go to a contender. and you want to go to a contender that wants you and likely will give you a significant role. Now, if you're the Knicks, you want to do everything in your power to get Jonas Valanciunas if, make this clear, if you know that Mitchell Robinson is not going to be fully healthy anymore, he's not going to look like the same player when he returns, or his return is still in question or in jeopardy. If any of those things are true, then the Knicks should trade Mitchell Robinson and get Jonas Valanciunas on this team. The only problem now is the Lakers provide him with a very good destination. If he comes to New York, he'll likely play off the bench, limited with minutes. If he goes to LA with no AD, with Luka there, with LeBron there, he'll likely start in LA. And if he starts for LA, he'll play significant minutes. And since they're also in championship contention, he would probably rather go there. He also has his other fellow European brother over there in Luka. So clearly, a lot of things might motivate him to pick the Lakers over the Knicks. But we got to remember, it's Washington's decision. So if the Knicks really want Jonas, they have the best trade package on the table among all contenders to get him. That's because of that first round pick that they hold from Washington. Again, protected means nothing to us. Will never convey. Means nothing to any other team. Because again, will never convey. But it means something to Washington. Because once they get that pick back, they can start using it in trades to improve their team. As a rebuilding roster, there is nothing more valuable than getting picks. Even if it's your own pick back, having that control matters. Even if the Lakers can give Jonas the location or the place that he wants to play, if the Wizards get a better offer from New York, that's essentially where he's going to go. But here's the thing about the Knicks. They don't want to trade for players that don't want to be in New York. Jonas, at one point in time, entertained the idea of coming to the Knicks. So I would think that if the Knicks traded for him, that's because he wants to be here as well, too. But if his heart is in LA, the Knicks are not going to trade for him. They would rather wait for Mitchell Robinson or make a trade for another player that actually wants to be part of this team, wants to be part of this championship run. So we have to make sure we're clear here. It is an obstacle for the Knicks because Jonas Valanciunas is their main trade target. If Jonas is off the table, then they're going to have to scramble to find another player that they can add to this team that would make sense for Mitchell Robinson. One of the main reasons that Valanciunas works is because of the cost and because it's the Wizards. If the Knicks trade Mitchell Robinson to Washington, they don't have to match the salary dollar for dollar. That's because of the Washington Wizards and the state that they're in. Because of that, they're able to retain players like Precious Achiuwa, not have to gut their team and still get players of impact that they can add off the bench. Washington is really the only option there. If you take them away, it takes away a lot of the moves the Knicks can make because any other centers that it takes away a lot of the moves that the Knicks can really make because any of the other centers out there, New York is going to likely have to match the dollar for dollar salary for that player and have to add other players to the deal. Mitchell Robinson, maybe they'll have to add Precious Achiuwa. Maybe the other team is going to have to add multiple players to match Mitchell Robinson. There are so many directions this one can go in, but if you're the Knicks and Leon Rose, patience is your best friend here. The more patient you are, the more smoke you throw into all of these reports saying you're entertaining this trade or looking at this player, it's going to put pressure on the teams that you're actually speaking to. We're not going to know that information until Leon Rose wants us to know that information or until after the trade deadline when those details come out. Because the Knicks always hold their cards close to vest. They don't want to reveal anything because they know information is power. And if nobody knows what you're doing, then that gives you more power. If a lot of people in the league understand what you're doing, know what your next move is, they can start to get in front of you and try to outbid you. And right now, that's exactly what's happening here. Everybody believes that Jonas Valanciunas is the Knicks' main trade target. And maybe that is the case, but maybe Leon Rose knows something else. Maybe he wants everybody to look here when really he's making a move over here. And if you know Leon Rose, you never can rule that out with him. But as of right now, this Luka trade has changed the entire NBA and clearly is affecting the Knicks and their trade plans. If Jonas Valanciunas was their move, or essentially was their backup move, now they have to rush to understand, should they make that move now or do they wait and trust in Mitchell Robinson? Because if they don't make that decision now, the Lakers are likely going to make that decision for the Knicks. And if they add Valanciunas before we're able to, and Robinson comes back and he doesn't look like the same player, a lot of people are going to criticize the Knicks for not making any upgrades at the deadline. This is why it's a risk. Waiting's a risk. Making that trade is a risk. But either way, you have to weigh the risk by the reward. And if the reward means a championship, maybe that's the move that you make. But what about you guys? What do you think about this Luka/AD trade and the ramifications it's having on the Knicks trade plans? Remember, they're looking to get Jonas Valanciunas, which is the Knicks' main trade target at this point in time. If they get Valanciunas, the Knicks may not be able to add anybody that they want at the deadline. Let me know how you feel about that in the comment section below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans, take care of yourself, your families, and each other. Peace and love.